The day I chased a muddy, terrified dog through rush hour traffic, I had no idea it would lead me to the most dangerous question my boss would ever ask me, or the one answer that would change both our lives. If you've ever believed one small decision can't possibly matter, stay with me, because what happened after I found that lost dog proved how wrong that belief can be. It started like any other exhausting weekday. Emails stacked higher than my patience, deadlines breathing down my neck, and my boss, Ms. Evelyn Carter, watching everything with that calm, unreadable expression that made everyone nervous. She was brilliant, composed, and completely untouchable, or so we all thought. Just as I was about to leave the office late that evening, I heard her voice crack for the first time. Not in anger. Not in authority. In fear. She was on the phone, pacing, whispering a name over and over again. Max. Her dog. Lost. Something about that moment stopped me. This wasn't the woman who ran meetings like battlefields. This was someone scared of going home alone. I offered to help without thinking. She barely nodded, eyes shining, and rushed out. I didn't even know what Max looked like, only that he was small, brown, and afraid of loud noises. I walked the streets long after the city lights blurred together, calling a name that wasn't mine but felt important. Hours passed. Then I heard a whimper near an alley, soft and desperate. Max was there, paw injured, eyes full of fear, tail barely moving. Getting him out wasn't easy. He snapped once, then collapsed into my arms like he'd finally given up fighting the world. I wrapped him in my jacket, carried him through the cold, and called my boss. When she arrived, she didn't look like my boss anymore. She dropped to her knees in the street, hugged that dog, and cried like she'd been holding it in for years. People stared. I didn't care. In that moment, something unspoken formed between us. As she stood up, still shaking, she looked at me and smiled through tears. I don't know how to thank you, she said softly. Then, half laughing, half serious, she added, what reward do you want? A kiss, maybe? The words hung between us, playful but dangerous. My heart pounded. I knew this was the moment where everything could break. I smiled back, steadying my voice. Just make sure he's okay. That's enough. But here's the hook you didn't expect, because that wasn't the end. That was only the moment that made everything else impossible to ignore. Days passed, but nothing felt normal. At work, she was still my boss, still professional, but there were pauses now. Glances held a second longer. Conversations softened. One evening, she asked me to stay late to help with a project. The office was quiet, rain tapping against the windows. Max was there too, sleeping peacefully in a corner, bandaged and safe. She thanked me again, this time without jokes. She told me how lonely her life had become, how success had cost her real connection, how that dog was the only thing that greeted her without expectations. I listened. Really listened. And for the first time, she listened too. Not to an employee, but to a person. She admitted the kiss comment wasn't a joke, it was fear disguised as humor. Fear of wanting something real and being rejected. That confession was the real challenge. Power, rules, reputation, everything stood in the way. I told her the truth. I respected her too much to cross a line without certainty, but I couldn't pretend I felt nothing either. The turning point came weeks later, when I resigned. Not dramatically. Quietly. I told her I needed to grow, to find my own path. She stared at the letter, then at me, and for the first time, she smiled freely. Outside the office, with no titles between us, she asked the question again, but this time, her voice didn't tremble. So, what reward do you want now? This time, I answered honestly. Not with a kiss, but with a chance. A real one. We started slow. Coffee walks with Max between us. Conversations without walls. The challenges didn't disappear, but we faced them as equals. And when that kiss finally happened, it wasn't a reward. It was a promise. If you're still here, here's what I learned: sometimes the thing you rescue ends up rescuing you back. A lost dog taught two guarded people how to trust again. And the strongest relationships don't begin with bold moves, they begin with quiet kindness, when no one is watching, and you choose to do the right thing anyway.